Hello, testing, testing. Okay, perfect. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Tales from a Wanderer. As always, I am Oliver Sanchez, professional wilderness guide and all-round outdoorsman. Today, as I said last week, well, first, I thought I wouldn't have a show this week. I'm competing this weekend at the Head of the Charles for rowing, and so I thought originally I wouldn't have a show, but lucky us, I am still on campus and there is still a show. So this week, as I said last week, I said that we would talk a little bit about some adventures that I had pretty recently, and a little bit about skiing because, it is a beautiful day on campus. It's warm, it's sunny, but we're close to ski season. We are really, really close to ski season. It's almost upon us. We're gonna get some nice snow this year. Everything's gonna be great. So, basically, the adventure first one is a little bit more hiking. So, recently, actually, me and my roommate have both gotten into hiking a lot more during school. So, like, usually I would just hike like on my off days or my off season, sorry, kind of during the winter or the summer. That would be like my prime hiking season basically because I was off school, like I didn't have anything to do, and it kept me occupied basically. However, now that however, we're starting to get more into it now because it's been really fun. It's a great way to get out of school, not actually out of our studies, but out of campus and out of the city and kind of a little bit farther away. So we've been doing a lot of that. We did super steep trail the other week, and we did this trail called Shunder. No, actually, we did this mountain called Shundermuck, something like that. Don't quote me on that because that's probably terrible pronunciation. But it was really basically a tall mountain we found, and we kind of went, we're gonna go there. So picked the mountain, and we just kind of went for it, right? I mean, full send, right? Why not? So it was a Monday, and so funnily enough, I had a midterm, super fun and awesome thing that we have to still do. So I had a midterm, and I basically said to my roommate, I said, "Hey, look, like I have midterm. It's online though, so I should be able to do it in 30 minutes." Cranked out this midterm, no problem, done in 30 minutes. And then we were basically like, "Okay, great. Um, we should like, okay, great. Cranked out in 30 minutes." And then we were like, okay, planning to go basically. And so it was me, my roommate, and then another one of my teammates, different teammate from our first hike that we went on because we kind of killed him. So we replaced him with a new teammate, basically. That's what happened. Which was pretty fun and interesting. So we kind of just replaced him. And so, it was me, my roommate, another teammate, basically, freshman actually. And so we are driving along, and basically it was just under an hour away. It's probably 50 minutes away. So we're racing the clock basically because we're supposed to get first of all, we're supposed to get rain, which is always so much fun. So we're supposed to get rain, and we're supposed to well, it's supposed to get dark as well at like 6:30 or 7ish, which is when it usually goes dark. And so we're kind of like racing the clock at this point because we wanted to get them out and we wanted to tag it. Of course, the stupid midterm got in our way basically. So we arrived there at like 3:30 basically. Yeah, probably 3:30. So we start off the climb, and my bag is stupid heavy, as it usually is, because mainly I feel slightly responsible as kind of the most experienced in that group, or in any group, to somewhat keep group safety alive, right? Keep everyone alive and take everyone back to the car and everything like that. So of course I'm carrying a lot of gear, and then I also big into photography, so I have to carry all of that gear. So glass is really heavy. So my full lens plus, of course, it's cold. So my full lens, a jacket, my shell, another fleece, second fleece, and then like my med kit basically, and my radio, and like all the stuff that I need to make sure that we're all gonna get back to the car, basically, right? Like all of that stuff. So it's like a heavy bag. It's probably like 15 to 20 pounds. And it is, if you've been hiking a lot, like during COVID, I was hiking a lot. I was quarantined a lot. So I was hiking. No, I didn't have COVID and go out hiking. That would be dumb of me. But I was hiking a lot during COVID, quarantined a lot. And so I got really used to carrying a really heavy pack up some really steep cliffs, basically. And so now I have not been doing that. And there's no like, it's just like rowing, right? It's very specific, right? Hiking is a very specific kind of thing, and it's just like any sport. It's very specific to that movement, right? My hip flexors are not the most able-bodied hip flexors you've ever seen, so I just suffered up this climb. It was probably an 11 to 12% grade, so it's like that. I mean, it's pretty serious. It's pretty straight up. It wasn't like the other hike where we had to like shimmy up, but it was sustained 11 to 12% for like 3 miles, probably. Yeah, probably 3 miles. Yeah, 2 to 3 miles, right? 11, 12% grade. And I'm just suffering in the back. My pack's heavy, plus 3 liters of water because you have to carry water on you. So it's heavy. I'm suffering and I'm like, why did I choose this? Why did I make this mistake? Right? Because every good adventure, especially an adventure including my roommate, there has to be a little bit of suffering in it because he seems to be drawn to it. I'm not kidding you. Every adventure, there's always a little bit of suffering. So we're kind of suffering up this, and the my teammate is just bounding ahead. He feels great. He's doing awesome. He's like a true, I mean, he's a serious athlete. He's bounding ahead of us, right? We're me and my roommate suffering in the back. Um, but it is so beautiful up there. It's like we paused and we're still, you can see the Hudson River and you can see the hike that we hiked last time actually too. And you can see all this stuff and it was just so beautiful. So pretty. Um and so we like stop at a couple lookouts and we're kind of taking our time a little bit, not realizing that like time is ticking down. Like there is not a lot of time. Um, so we're going and going and going. And basically, uh, yeah, so we keep going. And always in the back of our heads is like, hey, look, like it's gonna get dark. Of course, I'm carrying a flashlight on me because why wouldn't you be? I know what I'm getting myself into. Right. And so we're going and going and going. And basically we're trying to reach the top because why not? And the topo map. So actually we do a lot of research before you go out. That's biggest tip if you are doing like any sort of hiking backcountry, anything like that. A lot of research goes into it beforehand. So I was looking at the topo map, and on the topo, it looked like the trail would just go straight up, and then we'd be at the top, and then it would be all downhill, which would make sense. That would make a lot of sense. However, of course, that was not actually how it was. So we're like halfway through basically, and all of a sudden we start descending again. I'm like, what are we doing? Well, why are we descending? Um, so we kind of pull up our map on our phone and we realize that if we'd zoomed in more, there was a half mile section where basically we were on one ridge, we dip down to the valley again, and then come back up all in about a half mile, maybe zero 0.8 of a mile. All in that little time, we have to dip down and come back up. So it's again really steep. And the leaves, it's much different from down here. Down here, our leaves haven't really started to change yet. I mean, they sort of have, but up there, it's definitely more dramatic. So a lot of leaf cover, which means every single rock is super slippery, like super, super slippery at this point. So, of course, continue on, right? Because why not? Um, so we keep going and going, and we basically kind of climb back up again. So we're climbing back up, and it's still absolutely beautiful. Trees are changing a little bit. You can kind of, if any New Englanders out there, you can kind of see, which are the evergreens, which are your deciduous trees. Like you start to see that as the foliage changes, and so you're seeing those like evergreens and everything like that. Super cool, really, really cool. And then all of a sudden, we kind of like pop out of the tree line. Of course, the mountain isn't high enough to have like a true like encircling tree line or anything like that. But we kind of pop out from the tree line, and it's all turns into this kind of, I guess my roommate described it the best, like Arctic, almost tundra like. So like moss and hard, like moss and then pack rock, basically. Like long slabs of rock, basically, and then like low-lying shrubs and like low-lying trees, basically. It was really cool because you popped out of there, and then we walked more along this ridge, and you could see like the mountaintop we were going to, and it was just kind of a ridge traverse up there, on the spine of this ridge, and we dip down to the tree line again, then come up, and it would be like this sparse, brushy kind of stuff, and it was really beautiful, really, really beautiful, and the sun's starting to set, so we got this like orangey glow kind of going through, and we're all having the time of our lives. I mean, it is awesome. It's great out. Of course, still in the back of our heads is like, hey, like, we can't stay too long and look at everything, but we should we should definitely like, this is pretty cool. Like, I don't know when we're gonna be back here. So it was incredible. And then continue on, and we hit the peak, and the peak is great, 360 view, and it was funny actually. It was supposed to rain, and all throughout this, I was like, "Oh man, it's gonna rain! It's gonna rain! It's gonna rain! Like it's gonna be bad." Um, and we kind of look northwestish, maybe. Um, kind of look northwest, and dark, dark clouds and rain, because rain looks fuzzy, basically, right? Like rain is fuzzy, and like the mountains in the distance are starting to turn fuzzy, and like you can kind of tell like, oh shoot, rain rain is coming, and it will not be pretty when it hits here. So the rain is coming, and night is also coming, but we're just having so much fun that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We're just gonna chill and have fun. That was the motto. And I snapped some cool, really cool photos, sun setting and orange glow and all that kind of stuff. And so this is happening. And eventually we're like, okay, it is 6, maybe 6:20. Sun sets in 40 minutes. We have to go. So we start off as at what I would call a brisk hiking pace, like a really brisk walk. So the full trail afterwards was 7 miles. So that's far. So we were like 3.5 in, maybe. Um, and so we start off at like a brisk walk, and then we realize that is not enough, really. So we start going a little faster, and the sun is setting, and oh boy, we basically realize that we won't make it down in time, basically, because, well, there we're gonna lose light pretty soon. But there was this one patch on our way up that we had to bushwhack to basically cut a section of the trail off so we can move faster up to the peak. We could have more time at the peak, all that kind of stuff. We bushwhacked a section of trail, and so I'm thinking in the back of my head, okay, if we hit that bushwhack section in the dark, we cannot bushwhack it again. And bushwhacking is when you basically go off of a beaten path, off a beaten trail, and you're just following either compass cords, or you've orientated yourself to a peak or something like that, basically. Um, and so, or GPS as well, also would count. So we So and we hit that dip again. right? And on the climb up, basically out the other side is that bushwhack section, and it's dusk now, like twilight dusk, you can't really see it, everything's starting to go fuzzy. And so we're like, okay, straight up this rock wall will get us out. Perfect. My pack is now really light. So I've already drank, like, once you kind of know how much water you've drank, because I have a camelback, I know how much water I've drank by how little is how light my pack is feeling. So my pack is feeling really light now, and we've still got, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 miles to go, basically, or two miles to go, basically. So my pack is a lot lighter now. And so there were more, basically the hike the couple weeks before prior had only helped us to develop our rock climbing skills, basically. Sheer Almost near sheer face with a kind of a boulder sitting on top of it, and you had to grab it underneath, and then with your other hand push off of it kind of down to your left, and like scramble and flop yourself onto the top. So my teammate goes first, he clears it fine. My roommate goes, and I'm carrying the heaviest pack. So wedge one hand in, clip this hand, and climb up this way, and finally you make it, right? And you're like, "Wow, why did we do that?" And in the end, I mean, it was definitely the right call, because uh, night then fell maybe 20 minutes, 10, 15 minutes after we had cleared that section. So it was really good that we had cleared that section and we were free from it. So night fell and I got cold, of course. So put on another layer, put on a hat, right? And then turn on the headlamp. And it's a really weird phenomenon, especially if you're following a headlamp in the dark. And I have canoe stories about following headlamps in the dark. But basically, you're following just your whole world. The minute you turn it on, your whole world just goes to a little white tunnel, and that is it. That's your whole world. So any noises off in the forest that spook that, like, that's it. Like, I don't know, the boogeyman's gonna come eat me or something, right? So your whole world is just that little light, and you just hope and pray that that little light doesn't go away, basically. So we're still descending. We still have a mile to go, and we're descending, and I'm the only one with a headlamp. My roommate pulls out his phone flashlight, still descending, and like all of a sudden you kind of hear the like pitter patter of like the beginnings of rain, like that first misting of rain. So we're like, oh shoot, faster, faster, faster. So we get to this section, and we're going down, and we're almost like we're scooting, we're moving. Um and finally we see the car. We make it back, and the best feeling ever is when you take off that pack for the last time, you're like, "Ah, yes, I can breathe again. Like, I am not confined to this backpack anymore." Oh, it was, in all, super fun hike. Really, really fun, and would highly, highly, highly recommend it. Um, but I would not recommend it in at 3:30 at night. That's just not it was not the smartest decision we made, but it was really fun. And I mean, what are your college years for if you're not gonna make a couple dumb decisions, right? So that's the first story. Some fun in the woods. Now the second story, ski season. We're getting amped. Okay. Ski season is almost upon us, right? It's October. We can feel it in the air already, actually. Fun little skiing thing. Already actually up in Vermont, northern Vermont. They got snow. They got like maybe an inch and a half, but who they got snow. They got snow. So it's gonna be a great season. I can't wait for it. But this actually last season was when both me and my roommate started first skiing kind of like together. So both of us are pretty experienced skiers, him far more than me, and I still snowboard, but excuse me. It was really fun. I had a blast. But there was this one mountain called Pat's Peak. Now I might have told a couple stories about it last year, but it was such a good mountain that I should tell it again. This is not Gore. Gore was also really fun, and we're gonna go back again. So stay tuned for more more escapists, fun. But basically, Pat's Peak, the first time we went, blizzard, whiteout conditions, snow falling as we were skiing. It was awesome because basically we're driving up, and I'm looking at the weather and I'm like, "Oh, we're gonna get snow, like, while we're there." And all of a sudden, it was almost like that rain snow line at Catamount, where it was raining and then it started snowing. And all of a sudden, um, it just switched on us and it started dumping on us basically. So we pull up to Pat's Peak and it's packed. I mean, a lot of people there, but the lines were perfect. Like for the some of the upper mountain stuff, perfect. Like no wait time at all, basically. Um, no wait time at all. It was so perfect. So we basically we get in line and we start getting laps in, and the snow is getting heavier, and it's snowing hard when you're sitting on the chairlift and you're accumulating snow. So I had my nice shell on, of course, and my insulated pants, and so I am chilling. It is the best, and it wasn't necessarily super nice powder. It was a little bit wet, and I was filming, so it made things a little difficult. It was a little bit wet. It wasn't like true powder, but it kind of gave that uh, where the groomers were kind of flattened out a little bit and, like, mellowed slightly. So when you were carving, it was really, really nice, and it was just really nice spraying snow, and we hit a couple of these jumps, and this jump line trail was really nice. It was kinda like flat, and you'd go into it, and you'd, like, pop up and kind of, like, ride these couple of m mogul jumps, and it was really nice. But beautiful mountain, really, really nice. And that was kind of it during the snow, and I mean, wonderful, wonderful. We had a great time, just chilling up there and just like having fun. And then we went again actually because we had so much fun there. Of course, we had to go again for night skiing. I didn't get any footage of this, and I wish I wish I did. It was the craziest time we'd ever had at a mountain. All of a sudden, the temperature, like, dropped on us significantly. It went from, like, I don't know, 30 degrees Fahrenheit to, like, 20 in an hour. Like, all of a sudden, the sun went away, and it was cold, like, freezing cold. Um, and it was 2 very different, uh, very, very different comparisons. So, the second time we went, we had a little more gear. It was after Christmas, I wanna say. It was after Christmas, and my roommate had a pair of telly skis with him, so he went to telly, and I was like, "Okay, cool, like, I'm not gonna film this, like, we're just gonna hang out and chill, basically." So we started doing a couple laps, like a mogul trail and all these fun trails, and he's tellying in front of me, and we're, again, having a blast because a lot of the bigger mountains, you really have to be paying attention. Gore and, Catamount a little bit, but Gore and, what was it called? Living Legends was their slogan. I forget the name. I will remember it eventually, but some of those bigger mountains, you really have to be paying attention because the runs are steep and they're long, and, like, you really, really have to be paying attention. But Pat's was, like, short runs, so you kinda just zoned out, goofed off, great time. And so I was kinda zoning out and goofing off, and we are going down a steep trail, but, like, nothing really. It was a single black diamond, so it wasn't really anything super, super bad. And, of course, my roommate's adventures always, mine see, to give you a comparison, mine are super planned out, right? My Appalachian Trail walks are always planned so that I am back home before the sun sets, right? And all my hikes are planned that way. And all my skiing is planned so that I don't break anything, right? My roommate's adventures are not like that. Something it always goes crazy wrong. So he's telling in front of me, it's dark out, we're kind of chilling, it's cold, and all of a sudden I kind of go over this crest. wham! He hits the ground. He hit the ground so hard. He caught an edge on his left boot and just like flipped around and broke one of his skis. Broke one of his skis. One ski goes this way, another ski goes that way. And I'm like, oh no. I mean, it looked like a really hard crash. Like it was a pretty hard hit. And kind of come up and I'm like, oh man, are you okay? He's like, yeah, yeah, like I'm okay. But he had completely sheared. So with teleskiing, your there's no brakes to it because basically if this is your ski, you have like your binding lifts up so that when you make turns, kind of one leg lifts up and then the other leg lifts up, one leg lifts up. So your binding goes like this, so there's no brakes on it basically. And since there's no brakes on it, any ski will just go. So there's no brakes on it. So to keep it attached, there's kind of a little loop and it hooks into a loop on the boot basically. So when he had crashed, he had sheared the loop right off the boot. I mean, taken it right off, and the ski had like slid a little ways down the mountain, which to give you a sense of the crashes that we had actually. But he had sheared it, I mean, taken it right off, and I was like, "Oh, like, are you sure?" And he's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, like, I gotta go get my other pair of skis, though." I was like, "Yeah, I think you do." So we kinda just, like, basically just coasted right in to to the lodge and then back to the car and replaced his skis, but yeah, he that was a hard crash, but it didn't dampen our spirits because, of course, you get hurt sometimes on these adventures, like, it is what it is. And so we kinda got back up, and he has a nice pair of Factions too. Super, super nice skis. And we just kinda got right back out on it, and I think we got, like, 6 or 7 laps in that day, which was great. It was great, definitely got our money's worth. Whew, that was our second little story. Um, yeah, it was a crash. Actually, I actually had a similar crash. Same kinda thing. I might have told this story before, but it is worth reiterating. Gore, actually, I caught a heel edge. So going down Gore, we were, like, right by the lift, and I caught a heel edge, I remember, and just went right over my head, and it's so funny, just because, like, all of a sudden, it happens so fast. Like, if you are a skier, you know exactly what I mean. The minute you catch an edge, like, there's nothing you can do about it. Like, you're gone. Goodbye. Yeah, it's so strange. It happens so fast. You don't even know what happened. I didn't even know what happened when I crashed. I'm sure my roommate didn't even know what happened. But yeah, Pat's getting back on track. Pat's Peak was incredible, and I would highly, highly, highly recommend it. I hope to go back actually this year, maybe. Hope to produce some more content. Hope to get some weekly videos out, maybe. Who knows? Who knows what the plan is this year? But yeah, it's gonna be a little bit of a shorter show. Preparing for race weekend and getting ready, and so this show is gonna be a little shorter. So those are our two stories, some fun hiking in the backcountry, of course, and some fun skiing shenanigans, finascos? Who cares? Some fun skiing. Both of them, strangely enough, including my roommate. I'm sure I'll have more stories about that. But of course, as always, my name is Oliver Sanchez with Tales from a Wanderer.